Hi everyone, welcome back to our Curious Creative Collaboration. Week 3 is all about fabric, stitching, and stamps. Now this isn't a process video, it's more of a show and tell. Many of you may already be doing this sort of thing, using these same materials to create pages, embellishments, or journal covers. I just never get bored of making these because the possibilities are endless. Best of all, they're totally uniquely your own. So let's get started. First up, stamps. This grouping are some of my handmade stamps. The top right are carved polymer erasers inspired by Aimee Bishop. The rest were carved from rubber stamp blocks. There's so many great tutorials on YouTube, and I'll leave a list of artists that you can check out. These stamps are made of sticky back foam found in the kids section at most craft stores. As you know, I love working with these. Traci Bautista was the first artist to introduce them to me, and that was over 20 years ago. And this large stamp is designed by Nathalie Kalbach for Art Foamies, and it's called Batik Pattern 1. I just love it. And these foam stamps on heavy plastic are discontinued. They're also around 20 years old, but they've held up, and they're such a favorite. And here's another grouping of manufactured stamps. First of all, I have to apologize for the weird lighting and filming going on, but I didn't realize I had it on slow-mo until now. So anyway, I'm sure you have a collection of favorite stamps, and any of these would be great to use on fabric. So don't limit yourself, pull out what you've got, go to the dollar store, the kids section. Whatever you find will be perfect for this process. Let's talk a little about fabrics. As you know, I love pattern on pattern, but for this project, I just used good old cotton fabric. A piece of muslin, and the other is just cotton sheeting. Actually, you could use an old sheet. What I've realized over time is that I love using an ink pad for my hand-carved stamps. And my favorite for this process is using StazOn ink. And you know, this stamp pad is a little old. The image isn't as crisp as I wanted it to be, but I'm not mad about it. I really love anything that's black and white, and so I'm really happy with the way these turned out. Now for foam stamps, I love using acrylic paint. Any acrylic paint will do. Just apply it with your fingers, use a brush, or you can even use a gel plate as your palette and print away. I love the imperfections you see here, and it's a very straightforward process, and if you've never tried it, you should. And I forgot to mention something. I know that many people recommend that you wash your fabric ahead of time to get rid of all the sizing that's put into the fibers, and to be honest, I think the pieces I used here and in the previous shot were washed or used or vintage pieces because they were very supple and old. So if you don't want to launder them, you can soak them in hot water. This is how you pre-shrink fabrics anyway. You just place them in a pan or your sink in hot water, and when the water is cool, just, squeeze out the excess water, hang to dry, or put it in the dryer, and there you go. So that's just a little tip from me to you. Stitching! Let's pull it all together. I love this handy 3-section basket to keep supplies at the ready. Here I have fabric bits and trims, spools of thread, and embroidery skeins that I change out periodically. I featured this journal cover recently on Instagram. It's still a work in progress, and you can see that I've used a little strip of painted fabric with vintage swatches, and it's sewn together by hand and machine. I'm just still deciding on how I want to attach it to the cover. And here are a couple of clusters using the carved stamped fabrics. This one has a square base topped with different strips of modern and vintage fabrics, and a tiny strip of vintage trim held together with a horizontal whip stitch. At least that's my term, so I might not be right about that, but anyway. The next one is so simple. I took a rectangle piece, a tiny piece of that painted dot muslin, and using the last piece of this stunning crazy trim, I just did running stitches using the copper embroidery thread for a little zing. So these pieces can be used in a variety of ways. For example, I could take this piece and add it here, and then add a wash of color and maybe some scribbles or a script. The next one, this one would make a great tab. Let me show you on this piece here. So I can stitch this down or use a stapler, and the back looks great as well. Here's another journal in progress, and I remember putting some paper pieces together and decided to add a piece of stamped fabric to this one, and I like how it looks. So I can just machine stitch it together and add it to a page. So I hope you've enjoyed watching this video and that it's inspired you to try stamping on fabric. You could make fabric pages, fabric journal covers, embellishments, and combine them with other elements for unique and beautiful little pieces of art. And the possibilities are endless. And if you do, please be sure to tag us here or on Instagram. Till next week, take care and stay curious and creative. Bye.